We're talking security on the show today, and our attention is turned to Plateau State, where a video of Reverend Ezekiel Dachomo has gone viral. His voice trembling as he says, "I'm tired of burying my community members every day." In that clip, the Plateau pastor calls on Christians to defend themselves after another round of deadly attacks in Barkin Ladi. But the army says his claims are false and dangerous, accusing him of spreading propaganda meant to stir hate and panic.
Troops of Operation Enduring Peace deployed within Sector 4 area of responsibility will continue to upscale its operational activities around Nyarwe and Orua to reassure residents of their safety. We call on all stakeholders, traditional leaders, religious leaders, and civil society to avoid inflammatory rhetoric statements. Instead, rally around our common goal of a peaceful, united, and secured Plateau.
Thanks for joining us on the show today. The big question is what's really happening on the Plateau. Are Christians under coordinated attack, or are these recurring clashes being misrepresented as genocide? Recall that a senior advisor to President Donald Trump was in Nigeria recently. His senior advisor to the U.S. President on Arab and African Affairs, Masad Bolos, who dismissed widespread allegations of a targeted genocide against Christians in Nigeria. And that's spot on, because the Reverend in that video was asking the U.S. President to intervene, saying what is done with Israel and Hamas. But why does peace remain so hard to find in one of Nigeria's most beautiful but blood-stained regions? We begin tonight with our senior correspondent Funom Joshua reporting from Plateau State. Then I'll speak with security expert Oyekachi Adekoya on what's driving the violence and what must change to stop it. This is Beyond the Headlines, everyone, and thank you for joining us. Let's begin with Funom. What more do you know about this latest attack and the claims of a military withdrawal?
Thank you, Nifemi, for having me. You know, in Plateau State at the moment, when residents are beginning to sleep with their two eyes closed, then we are seeing this unfortunate, happening at the moment. Very unfortunate. Residents around High Park in Barkin Ladi local government, precisely on the 14th of October, woke up to a sad experience that gunmen suspected to be Hadar militiamen invaded the community and gruesomely murdered about 11 people, including women and children. A very sad one in that community. These are some of these experiences that, some selected communities here in Plateau State, are witnessing, despite, several efforts by the authorities, to put an end to a current challenge within these selected communities here in Plateau State. So that happened around that community precisely on the 14th. But then let me take you back to prior to that. There was a case of cattle rustling in another community within the Fan district of Barkin Ladi, whereby on this 8th of October, precisely, we saw that, a report flying on one of the social platforms where they alleged that over 80 cows were roasted and a Hadar was killed, that was, within that community. So prior to that, well, the authorities later confirmed that, yes, it happened. About 34 cows were roasted, and then one of the Hadars, the Hadar that was out there rearing the cattle was also killed, at that incident. So in between that period of time, there was tension within Barkin Ladi. When you saw the clergy, Reverend Ezekiel Dachomo, coming to say that, prior to that, he said that they got an intel that there was going to be an attack in that community within the Barkin Ladi, and then he said, that was when he's calling for youth within that community to stand up and defend themselves. But then we saw the release from the military authorities also, countering that claim from the religious leader, saying this is not how it's supposed to be. If at all there is a situation like this, it's important to share the intelligence with the authorities. But then they counter that that scenario. And then the claim that the military, the withdrawal of the military, the army, didn't say anything about that. They actually said there was never anything. When they got an intel of that attack, swiftly they sent deployed troops to that community, which they said, help in preventing more, preventing the situation around that community. But then that claim, it's not really factual from the military authorities.
Boy, you heard the Reverend saying that he's tired of burying members every day. According to the army, they say his video is misleading and a propaganda. But what's the mood in the communities affected? What's the general mood among locals? Do they trust the security agencies?
You see, Nifemi, the issue of the trust at the moment, it's somehow, let me say it this way, because when it happens to the military are caught in between this situation. When it happens to this community, you see them saying, coming to say that the military are not really, they are siding or they are not really doing what is expected, And when it happens to this community, again, you see the blame is coming to this. Now, we've seen the native communities like saying the military are not really doing as expected, That is why you're seeing some of these stakeholders are calling for people to stand and defend themselves. But then, because it's happening, like I said, in this community, the trust is no longer there at the moment, even when we've seen efforts that, to come up with initiatives that will build trust between the military and the warring communities. But when it happens, you will see us going back. So at the moment, the locals within this Baraki community are not really happy, and then they are not really, trusting the security operatives at the moment. It's something they are not really doing at the moment.